If it takes us over, then it has no more enemies, nobody left to kill it, and then it has won.
I'm Steph.
And I'm Ange.
We're Nerdazons.
Awesome. I like how you hid your face and you're like, nobody's going to see me do that.
If I lean back, then you can't see me.
Exactly. No, that was awesome.
That's good. That was like the first take. It pays to be a little tired because you don't care then.
Aww.
All good. So this fortnight was a listener's choice by longtime listener MJ Macca Jr. They chose to do The Thing 1982 versus The Thing 2011. The Thing 1982. A research team in Antarctica is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. The Thing 2011. At an American research site, the discovery of an alien craft leads to a confrontation between graduate student Kate Lloyd and scientist Dr. Sander Halvorsen.
Okay, so I realised halfway through this, I'd seen this before, and I was like, oh, I have seen it before. This is so good.
Oh, I went into this completely blind. I had no idea what the story is about. I'd never seen it, so it was all completely new to me, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I hadn't seen the remake.
Okay, well, first of all, since let's start with story. I just want to say the 2011 blew my mind that it connected. I really love that it was a remake, kind of like a prequel, but not like, it's like a prequel of 2 weeks prior to the second, or like a day prior to the 1982 film, and I thought that was really cool. And there were a few things that were consistent, because I remember watching the first one, and I'm like, I wasn't super ready to watch it. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then this is what I wrote in my notes. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. Kurt Russell's in it. 1980s Kurt Russell. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm down.
That's what I wrote in my notes.
Our priorities.
I go, oh, Kurt Russell, what a babe. Oh, I think I say that for all of the 80s movies. I think it's the gorgeous hair.
He had luscious hair, didn't he, in that one? Yeah. I really, really liked the story. I wasn't expecting what it was, but it was a perfect mix of sci-fi cross survivalism, I guess, and that whole mentality of like survivor mode, or who's gonna.
And they've all been pitted against each other. Like, how do you know? I like that in the first one, he's like, I'm going to draw blood. And if it draws blood, then, and then when you're like, shit, there's no words. Yeah. And then when he's like, all right, take blood. And that's another thing that I wrote, is that, oh my God, that guy literally sliced his finger open.
Yeah, he went all out to get blood for that. Like, okay, so back in the beginning, and it starts off in the 1982 one where they're chasing a dog, and I thought, oh, this is horrible. It's probably just some sport that they're doing because they're so bored out there, and I was getting like really worked up. And then the dog survived, thank God. But then I realized the dog was the thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I was so worked up for this this dog.
I watched the original, then I watched the remake straight after. And now that you're saying that, I'm like, oh my God, that dog got away, which makes it that one.
Did you not watch the end credits?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yes. I really loved that the credits connected that. So when I went into the 2011 one, I thought, oh, okay, it's just a remake. They've made it a bit more modern. But then when they were like, it was the other site, and I'm like, oh, I thought, are they the ones who find it and unbury it? Is this going to be the first base camp? And then there are a couple things that I saw in the 1982 one that I really, really loved. I know this is going to sound really like messed up, but I love when they went to that campsite and they found the thing with the weird like kidney sort of shaped head, because the two heads were
oh, that was morphed. So gross.
But it's like that typical 80s, like really obviously fake, but it looks so good. And then the second thing was when they find the like, I guess the last survivor and just killed himself, and the icicles of the blood, and I thought that looked pretty cool. I know it's not everyone's favorite topic to talk about, but I just thought it looked really good. And they were the key things I was waiting to see come into the 2011, which they did. So I'm really happy they showed how the creature got merged, and then they showed in the end credits that guy had done what he did.
One of the other notes that I wrote was, this is giving me Total Recall vibes, but on crack. Yeah. Angie's gonna love this. Yeah. And in the original, where the first guy gets killed, and you just like both of them. I know we're like kind of off storyline. We're more like on prosthetics and stuff at the moment. Yeah. But like seeing that the first one get killed, and then his head, and then like the legs pop out, and he's like running around. I'm like, oh, this is so gross, but it's so good. And then in the remake, when the first girl is like getting turned into the thing, and then she flips like upside down, and she's like, and seeing like the two heads combined. Oh my God. So good.
I definitely will talk more on prosthetics later, but maybe we go back to the storyline a little bit. Until I had seen the remake, I did get a little bit confused with the story, because I had questions left. It was like, the campsite. I know they answered a lot of it, but it made you question, what about the other campsite? Like, how'd they find it? What continued there, which is kind of why the remake really surprised me. But I also hate, there's two things I dislike. Well, it kind of worked for the first one, but I don't like that they did it in the second one, is so Kurt Russell and so McCready and Childs are the two that survive at the end, but you don't know what happened. Yeah. Like, they just take a drink, and I don't know, it's cool. It works for that one.
That's what I liked as well. I said that I like that it left you kind of on a cliffhanger, like, did they survive? Did they not? Yeah. Like, really open-ended. I like that.
I did too, but I didn't like it in the remake, because that campsite is supposed to die. Like, the only two that were supposed to have gotten out were the two in the copter who were chasing it down. So you don't know where this girl is. She killed everyone off. She survived, and then she's on her own in that, like, she has a vehicle and everything. You know what I mean? So it just, I don't like that they left that one open. That should have been a clear cut. Like, she should have just died. It would have been good if she was the reason that the whole thing blew up, because it was all on fire and burnt and singed when they got there. That could have been a better ending, more consistent. But I'm not the one writing this.
What an awesome concept! It being like, this alien, this thing can turn into whatever. And at the end, when he turned in the dog, and the dog was running, I'm like, go boy, go, run as fast as you can,
like,
dog.
Why are you hunting the dog? And then, it immediately drew you in to protect the dog, and then the dog is just walking around, and you don't realize it, and then it makes you question because the dog at the beginning, he goes to a few different rooms before he goes into the guy's room that takes care of the dogs, and it really like plants the seed of like, oh my God, like 4 of them could be a thing right now.
I thoroughly enjoyed the original. With the 2011, I wrote down, hey, is that Ramona Flowers? Oh, it's Tormund from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, as soon as I saw him, I was just like,
and the Olsen brother.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, I remember him mostly for Beer Fest. I was like, I've seen this guy in so many films.
One of my favorite quotes from the 2011 is when Adam says, so I'm going to die because I floss.
Oh, okay. That is a part of this 2011 story that I didn't like.
Yes.
Like, it was very different to how I get it that they wanted some differences, and if you have different scientists working on this, because they only had the doctor in the original one that were really more of the scientific mindset, whereas this one, it was a whole research team, so they were all pretty well educated, and their like theory was it doesn't replicate artificial stuff, and I don't know, I thought it wasn't as good. Yeah.
And when she was going through and checking everybody's teeth, I was thinking, what if you had good teeth? What if you had porcelain fillings?
Well, like
what are you going to do in that case?
Yeah, and they don't do those type of fillings anymore.
Well, that was the 80s, so...
Yeah, no, 2011, they phased those sorts of fillings out. So it was only the older ones who were stuck. feelings.
I know, but the 2011 was actually set in 84 as well.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yes, yeah, that yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was really funny because I'm like, yeah. And then when he says, "I'm gonna die because I floss," I thought that was hilarious. This is like was playing on my mind through all of them. How would you know which person to put in charge? How would you know? How would you know that this person's the leader? And when Kurt Russell was the leader, I'm like, and the whole time I'm like, is he the bad guy? Is that what this movie's going to be? Is he going to be the bad guy at the end? And, you know, I thought that was so good that he was bad boss man. Like, he was good. He played, like, in charge so well.
Yeah, but he always does. Like, he always plays those roles really well. What was interesting about the 2011 one, though, was the dynamics of the characters, I guess, because we didn't know much about the other camp, the Norwegian camp in the original one, and all you know is there was an older guy who was in the helicopter trying to shoot the dog, and there was obviously somebody else didn't know the age of the other person, so you only knew those two. And the whole time I kept thinking, all right, it's going to be the main doc and the other guy, I think it was Henrik, when they're like, they were talking in Norwegian and they're like, oh, she's really smart, isn't she? Now she's in charge. I thought it was going to be those two that would get out. And then the whole story changed and I was just like, oh my God, I'm so lost. I don't know who's going to be out. Are they going to keep it consistent? I was guessing all the way until the end credits if they were going to keep that story consistent with the 82 one.
I like that I was on my toes the entire time for both of them.
I did get bored in the 2011 one at some points. But I will get into that later why. It was just, I think a lot of, the jump scares and the prosthetics weren't as captivating for me. But I do like that the story connected. And I did get a bit bored with some of the characters. But overall, I really liked the way it tied back in.
I definitely had a fun ride with these.
Yeah.
And I like that I did watch them back to back rather than letting them wait and be like, wait, what happened? But then watching them back to back, it didn't click in my head that the dog was the dog in the beginning. But I did like the fact that they did have Nordic people in the original and that they were like not Americans playing.
Yes, they had
Nordic people.
Casting.
Yes, and I thought that was awesome. And I did like the fact that it wasn't all just men in the second one as well. I like that they had that female who was like, a badass as well.
Yeah, no, I had a vibe from some of them. It just seemed to me like they introduced them for the sake of it. And it was the point when he sort of went off at her and he's like, I didn't pay you for this, like the Halverson, and he's like, I didn't pay you to think, I just paid you to get the thing out of the ice. And I thought it was just so like rude. I thought, you paid for her to come over here on this expedition for her expertise and you're going to talk down to her like that. But then I also just thought, at that point I thought, it's just like, you've got her in there for the sake of gender diversity. You could have just easily achieved it with a male cast as well.
When they come up and they're like, hey, we want you to do this, but we can't tell you anything. And she's like, okay. I'm like, how can you make such a big decision in like 2 seconds?
I think it's like because Korea, like in that sort of field, unless you're out on an expedition, sometimes it can be difficult to get the recognition in that field.
I know. I was just like, personally, I'm like, I don't know whether or not I could do
I wouldn't have gone. I think if it wasn't for her friend who convinced her to go, she probably also wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the cast because I feel like this is going to cross into the story quite significantly. So in the first one, the only two that you really see that have, I guess, those degrees is Dr. Copper and Dr. Blair. So they are both obviously the research team. Dr. Blair is the one that discovers and analyzes the blood samples, but Dr. Copper is the one that also performed all the autopsies and things like that. With the other team members, they just seem like crewmen up there maintaining the facilities. So it didn't strike me as it was a whole research team, So I thought that was I thought it was a nice, simple dynamic for the cast. It didn't overcomplicate it. And then you had your hero type person, which was obviously Kurt Russell.
I like that they were like just up there for maintenance, and then I really like the fact that when they kill the thing at the beginning and they're like, no, we can't destroy it because somebody might get a Nobel Prize for this. I'm like, you guys should get the Nobel Prize because you guys are the ones who like found it.
I know, and it's the same in the second one. When Dr. Halverson, the whole way through, he didn't care about his crew. He didn't care that the research team were getting they got killed so quickly in the second one. Like they were just getting picked off so fast, but he didn't care. It was all about the research. It's like, no, we need to keep this. We need to keep this. It's like, don't you care that people are dying literally around you? And he just, and that I feel like was a typical, scientist trope that you see in a lot of films where it's like, I don't care. I will get my fame and glory from this research.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a very different vibe, I think, for the research science side of it compared to in the two films.
One thing I do want to say is that with Joel Edgerton's character, at the end, I wasn't expecting him to be the thing. When she's like, you know how I knew that you were human? He's like, how? And she goes, because of your earring. And she's like, no, the other ear. I
wasn't expecting that either. It wasn't until she looked back at the pyro thing and I thought, okay, she suspects him. But I wouldn't have guessed it because, like, it's quite a darkish film. And I guess most people aren't paying attention if you're wearing earrings or not. So I don't think anyone in the audience would have really been able to pick that up based on that evidence. So that's why I didn't like that it was around inorganic objects compared to the blood.
I like the fact that it was the reason why he found out, and then he, put the copper wire or whatever it was, and then like set that on fire, and then he's like looking at all their reactions. I was like, this is such a good idea.
It's so intense too, that scene. I found that scene so much more intense than the 2011 one when she's checking everyone's teeth.
And then one of them's like, I don't want to check. I'm like, why are you not wanting to check? Like,
because I think they were one of the ones that had like porcelain teeth or something, but it just didn't, the level of intensity wasn't there, I guess, because they eliminated half of the suspicion because they floss and they had good teeth, so the suspicion wasn't there. You couldn't really tell who it was, whereas in the other one he tied them all up and he checked all of them, so it was intense until you knew who was fine and who wasn't.
And then when Dr. Blair was like in the shed, I guess, being tied up, I was like, oh my God, like, is he, isn't he? And just the way that he's like, I promise I won't. And then did you see the noose in the
I did.
I'm like, is he going to like top himself? Oh.
See, I actually didn't think he was, because when they captured him, he was smashing everything. So he was preventing this thing from getting out. That's why he was breaking all communications. Like, we need to isolate this, like quarantine it. And then they locked him up. And then I thought, oh, okay, now he can't be a thing. And then he's like, when he was saying, I won't say anything, I'm like, I don't believe you the way you're saying it.
Yeah.
But I still don't have any evidence. And then when he went back the third time when he was gone, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's the thing.
I know. And that's what I've loved about it, is that you were just like guessing the entire time.
Yeah, it was really surprising, I must say. I really, really enjoyed it.
I did like the cast in the original, and I know I said it earlier, but the gore and the like, all of this stuff just blew my mind, and I was like, this is so good. The effects were amazing.
Yeah. I'm gonna sort of double take on your what you said there. The cast for the 82 were incredible. The casting for the 2011 was also incredible. I will have to say this is one of the first remakes where I actually feel the casting for both films were really done really well. And fun fact, the video footage in the 1982 one of the Norwegian, that was John Carpenter.
No.
Yeah. So that was pretty.
Wow.
He always tries to, be in his films where he can, but I just thought it was really cool. I have a few things that I really want to say on, special effects, prosthetics, and all of So do you mind if we move on to that?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay. So first of all, this sort of is a big reason about why the 2011 one I did get bored a little bit. I don't think I really liked the way the thing looked. It was very alien, like the movie. Whereas in the other one, it was this like weird tentacle organism, that, like parasite, that was just trying to latch onto anything. And I kind of liked that about it. Whereas this was an actual thing, like an actual alien. And it looked very different to how they had pictured it in the 1982 one. And I think that kind of really turned me off. Plus, this thing killed crazy. And another thing that I didn't like about this alien is, in the 1982 one, they said it will only attack if you're on your own. Whereas in the 2011 one of the first people to be killed, it was killed when there were two of them there.
I know. And if we're going to, be a prequel or whatever, be consistent.
Yeah. So, like, I didn't like that they changed that. And this creature was just killing left, right, and center, whereas I really liked the stealthiness of it in the 1982 one. Like, you didn't see much of it. You just saw them, I guess, when they're discovered that they're a thing, not so much the creature attacking you.
I think that kind of annoyed me is that Kate assumed a lot of things about it. Like, she's, when she's like, they replicate this, they do this, they do this. And I'm like, but you haven't run any tests yet. So how can, like, I know that she said, that they did do the cell thing and that they can do that. But she also assumed a lot of things. And I'm like, I know you're a scientist, but it's something that you've never seen before. How can you assume?
Yeah, in the 1982 one, the doctor had a much more, I guess, scientific approach. He will take the sample and he'll study it first before he makes that decision, whereas she just found some teeth on the ground. She pulled a piece of metal out of the thing.
And then was like, oh, it can't digest this. I'm like, yeah. But maybe, how, like, I don't know, maybe I'm not a scientist and I don't know these things.
I think she did say, sorry, I am mistaken there. She did look at some blood samples as well. But it's like she knew so much more than what they did in the 82 one.
Yes.
Yeah.
How were you not scared, like, straight up, seeing this thing and just being like, WTF? Like, what? And they were just more, again, maybe because I'm not a scientist, but they were more like curious.
Yeah, I don't know. If I saw that massive creature in the ground, I'd be like, I wouldn't be...
Like two heads.
Yeah, I wouldn't be digging that up. Oh, that's in the second one. Yeah.
And then seeing that, especially when the 2011, when it kills for the first time and they open it and they're like, here's his head that hasn't been digested yet. I'm like, and I'm like, that
was pretty cool. I kind of liked that.
I know. And I was like Juliet, just wanting to vomit the entire time.
I thought that was pretty cool.
And I wasn't expecting her to be the alien straight up either.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the alien to kick into gear so quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really turned me off. The pace, it made the pace of the film go a bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And it took the intensity away because you didn't know what it was. Whereas in the first one, it's like, what's happening? We don't know what it is. Oh, hang on, I figured it out. But how many people are already infected? And that sort of vibe was a little bit better, I think. But and also, yeah, I just wasn't as into the look of the alien in the second one. But I've got some more things to say on like prosthetics and set stuff. And this is why I think it's so cool for like the 80s and previous. Or like film and set designs. So the sound effects of the autopsies, when he's like pulling things out and throwing it. Do you know how they did the sound effects for that? Of the split face, it was accomplished with paper towels soaked in egg yolk. That's it.
What?
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
It's so simple, and that's what I love about that. And it's not all CGI and things like that. So it was just so cool.
I did also find a few facts as well. Kurt Russell almost killed himself with a stick of dynamite. Oh Russell God. Threw an actual stick of dynamite during a scene towards the end of the film. He did not, however, anticipate it being so powerful. Russell was literally thrown backwards after the device detonated. This take was left in the film. Okay, the other one that I found here The other thing that I thought was quite interesting was this was a flop with audience, and it was partly E.T.'s fault. What The Thing lacks in comedy, it makes up for its tenfold in claustrophobia, paranoia, loneliness, and some of the most incredibly frightening practical effects in film history. Yet the audience were none too receptive to the film, at least at first. The Thing earned just shy of 20 million at the domestic box office.
That's really well summarized the themes of the film that I like. That's what it is.
Like, I think what made it feel more intense in the original is what was just said there, is that it was claustrophobic. They were in just confined spaces. They couldn't go outside because, one, it was freezing, and two, how do you know that it wouldn't just run away and go somewhere else and infect other people?
Exactly. Also, the sound effect of the Antarctic wind was actually recorded in the desert outside Palm Springs.
Huh.
Yeah. And then I was reading somewhere, I don't know where I was reading it. It's not in front of me, so I'll try my best to recount it. But to achieve some of the icicles, they turned the AC down as low as they can, to start building the frost on the set in LA.
Oh, yeah, I was so cold watching this movie. Sorry, I'm just going to say one more fun fact, especially because we are talking about prosthetics and things.
Yes.
A double amputee was used to create the film's quintessential special effect. One of the most memorable scenes in the movie, often referred to as chest chomp, occurs when Dr. Copper attempts to revive Norris with a defibrillator. As he presses the paddles onto his patient's skin, Norris's chest opens up and Copper's forearms disappear into the cavity, where they are severed below the elbow by a set of jaws inside Norris's chest. That's right. That was so good. In order to pull this off, special makeup effects designer Rob Bottin, known for his work on RoboCop, Total Recall 7 and Fight Club, found a man who had lost both of his arms below the elbow in an industrial accident. Bottin fitted the man with two prosthetic forearms consisting of wax bones, rubber veins, and jello. Then, for the wide-angle shot, he fit the man with a skin-like mask taken from the mold of Dysart's face and placed the Ezrat's arms onto the chest cavity, where the set of mechanical jaws clomped down on them. As the actor pulled his arms away, the jello arms were severed below the elbow. The rest is practical effects history.
That's so cool. See how creative that stuff is?
I know.
It's so good. I love it. I wish I was creative enough to do things like that.
The whole time I was watching this, I'm just like, Angie's gonna lose her mind. She's gonna love this.
It reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street, the first few, even when they I think it's the third one when the girl he shoves all the food down her mouth and she just explodes, and the prosthetics look so much like that.
Okay, I haven't seen that, but is that from The Simpsons where Homer just eats all the donuts?
No, I don't think so. Sort of, it's off topic, but Freddy Krueger finds your fears in your mind, and this girl had anorexia, so he's like, well, here you go, keep eating, and then he just keeps shoveling the food, and then she just bursts.
Oh, that sounds so gross.
Yeah. It's so good though. The prosthetics look incredible.
They were. Whereas the 2011, I went in because I didn't remember watching The Thing and the original until I watched it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did see this, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna love it. And then watching the 2011, I was like, is this going to be scary? I didn't know whether or not it was gonna be a horror or whether it was gonna be just a fun movie. The special effects were great in the 11, but you could tell that there was a lot of CGI involved, and even by then, they could have done a little bit better, even though I don't know, I think it was good because it was fun, and looks like they didn't take themselves too seriously in creating the creatures and things like that.
Yeah, I think in the 2011 one they did build the aliens, but I also think there was an element of green screen. So, you know, maybe it was someone in a suit that had the dots and stuff, and then they put it all around that. So it was like half real and half CGI. But either way, it didn't look as good. And B, I think in the first one, having all the red and orange colors really made the thing pop. So you could see it around like all the plain colors, like the whites, the grays, the blacks, and you could see the thing. Whereas in this one, I just feel like it all just sort of looked.
Going back to characters, because we haven't really talked about much.
Yeah, we're very much in prosthetics this time.
I know that like Erik Christian Olsen's been in a lot of spoofy movies, like Not Another Teen Movie and things. Yeah, and I don't know whether or not he was a good cast for this, because he's been in so many goofy things. I don't know if I could take him seriously. And I don't know whether or not he was in it just for the comedic role.
Even when he was saying, please, Kate, no, please, like, you know, it's me, don't do this to me, I didn't feel anything. It sounded like, it seemed like crocodile tears when he was saying that to her, and I just thought, you're not that good a get an actor.
Exactly. Whereas like Tormund, Christoph, I'm just going to call him Christoph as Jonas, I thought he was brilliant, and all the like Norwegian cast,
they were great,
was so good.
Yeah, I completely agree. They were really good. I think the only one in that cast that really did fall flat was the Olsen brother. I think all of them were pretty good. Even
Kate, I don't know how it felt
better than her, because she is a talented actress. I've seen a lot of her things. She's good. I just don't think her character was a good addition to the film.
No, I mean, I did like
it. Should have been Joel Edgerton's role that became the main one with the research team. They could have just cut Kate out. She didn't even need to be there.
I said before that I liked that they had a female in this cast, but I think you're right. Like, she was just there as the token female.
Yeah.
And like Joel Edgerton is amazing, and he is such a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
You know, usually when you have like an Australian or an English person doing an American accent, they generally sometimes slip out of it. Whereas he's obviously done like American accents for a while, and it didn't fall at all. And I was like, it's really good. And the way that he acted was so good. Like, he's on par with Kurt Russell in this film.
Yeah, and that's why I thought he was going to be the main one. I thought, okay, he's going to be the Kurt Russell. And then it became more around Kate, and like, she was good. She's a great actress, much better than the Olsen brother, but I don't think her character was a good addition.
All I could think of is just, she's Ramona. Like, she's Ramona Flowers.
Yeah.
That's all I could think of.
What's really funny though is because the Olsen brother was in Not Another Teen movie with Chris Evans, and then she was in Scott Pilgrim with Chris Evans.
I know.
But back to the Norwegian cast, this is how I made this note. I didn't make many notes, but this is one that I did make. It's a very clear difference between the American cast in 1982, when you see them all just hanging around quietly, sort of semi-depressed and all that in their camp. And then when you see the Norwegians, they're singing, they're dancing, they're having a ball. It was so much more lively compared to the American cast. And I was just like, wow, they're a great family up there. I really felt that. Whereas in the first one, it did seem like a cutthroat, I just work with you. If you're the thing, I'm going to kill you sort of thing. Like, vibe.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And when Carter and Jameson in the 11 were in that accident, and when they came back, I was just like, wait, are you guys the thing? And then when it turned out that they weren't, Wink, I was like, how did they survive?
I know. And she kept questioning it as well.
And then when she kept questioning, I'm like, maybe they just did survive. And, and that's what I did like about this one, is that, like I said, you did not know whether or not Carter was the good guy or the bad guy till the very end.
I think they should have got rid of Kate, though. I do like that he was the thing at the end, but I definitely liked the 1982 one. I did like the 2011. There were just a few things that I didn't like. Yeah. But apart from that, I liked that it continued the story.
I just want to mention quickly about the score for the 1984. I thought the score was so good. It said, I wrote note, okay, the score was really well done, especially at the end with the almost heartbeat boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
The music was so eerie. What an awesome movie.
Yeah, and I had a note on the other one. When the film finished, I thought, oh, this isn't a very memorable soundtrack.
And then I liked that they kept it going at the end where I was like, oh, credits are done. Huh? And then when they did that, extended bit where they're like, and then you find out about the dog, I did like that. I just want to go over one of my other little notes. 1984, Gary's eyebrows. That's all. Gary was the older guy with the big white bushy eyebrows.
Oh, I know. Oh my gosh. Like, trim them.
I know, but I just love that was one of my notes.
Oh my gosh.
Gary's eyebrows.
Sure notes. Yeah, mine was my first note was Kurt Russell, that hair.
I like how we both have the same mind.
I know, it's so good. Do you have anything further you want to add to these films?
Okay. I do have another little fun facty thing. Ramsey was concerned that the bleak, ambiguous ending would not test well with the audiences, so he suggested that Carpenters cover his bases and have a spare ending ready to go. They filmed an auditional scene where the lead character, MacReady, is rescued and appears in a room where he is given a blood test to determine whether he has been assimilated, which he passes. Fortunately for fans of the film, this alternate final was not needed as Carpenter stood firmly behind the movie he had made. Yeah. Ambiguous ending and all.
I think that's good. John Carpenter's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Love his stuff. I think the alternate ending could have worked if you didn't see the result. You just see that they're doing the test, but you don't know the outcome. That could have also worked.
But, yeah, I really like that they left it open-ended. Really, because you're just like, what? It's kind of like Vanilla Sky.
You don't know if when he jumps off the edge. That's right.
Gosh, we've done some amazing movies.
We have done a lot of really good stuff. I'm very glad that MJ Macker Jr. had this selection.
Same.
Thank you.
Same. When I saw it was the thing, I was like, And then over the weekend, I was talking to one of my friends and I was saying, oh, we're doing this, talking about all different movies. And I said, yeah, we're doing the thing. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I started watching it and then I fell asleep. And he's like, you didn't finish it. I'm like, no, I got really tired. He's like, that's disgusting. How dare you? Go home and watch it now. I was like, okay. So I went home and I'm like, yeah, I did see it. How fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I have one last little fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
So for Kurt
Who's
Russell,
got the last fun fact?
Yeah. So for Kurt Russell to get the smoke effect coming from his mouth, he would draw in from his cigarette prior to filming. So then it would the smoke would come out to appear cold. Pretty cool.
That's yeah.
Okay.
Both, I did like these movies a lot.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you what you would rate both of them.
While I was making my notes and things, I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually think about what I would rate them. I put down the 1984. My score's a 4.5. I remember watching this as a kid and shitting my pants and thinking that Kurt Russell was a babe. Haha, that's what I say about all these 80 movies. It's the hair. Such a great concept. Who would you believe? All pitted against each other. So, graphics, wow. I don't think I could really fault this movie. I don't think I could really fault the 84. I'm sticking with a 4.5.
And the 2011?
And the 2011, I wrote down, my score is a 3. I'm glad I watched this movie second. It's similar to the original, but also a bit of fun. The Thing turning into people was really well done. And I just think it got a little bit lower because, like you said before, Elizabeth Winstead as Kate Boyd or Eric Christian Olsen as Adam Finch. I just, I don't know. But Joel Edgerton was great. The Norwegians were great. And I think also, I don't know, maybe it's effects that don't always get the points, is when they're running, Kate and Carter, and they're running and the things keep closing, like,
yeah,
at the end.
and you saw too much of the thing. That's what I didn't like
Yes.
about that one as well. Whereas in the other one, it was just assumed that someone could be it, and you didn't know it until you were going to kill it. Whereas this one, you saw the thing change into like two or three different times. You were seeing it half morphing, and it's like, well, you kind of ruined that vibe of not knowing if it was them or not. For me, I'm going to give the 82 one a 4. I really liked it. I love the prosthetics and stuff on it. And it was a really intense film because it left you questioning
Yes.
who was who. And I think they definitely used that to their advantage in filming this film, leaving that ambiguous vibe throughout the whole thing. And that was a strength for this film. Whereas in the other one, I'm going to give it, I think I'll give it a 2.5. It wasn't bad. Like, as for the story, I really liked that it continued on. It showed you just what happened, like, 48 hours prior to the 1982 one. I liked that it continued that. I liked that it showed how this thing got released. I liked that it continued that story there. The cast was great, minus Adam and Kate. I think those two additions didn't need to be there. The thing I didn't like as much as I did in the other one, it wasn't as scary. It was too much for graphics. You saw too much of it trying to morph when it should have already been hidden within the crew and all of that. So I didn't like that. Yeah, that's why I kind of landed in the middle, because there was so much that I really liked about it, and I liked that it built on the original story in 82. Well, not sort of the original, there's one prior, but I liked that it built on that.
I think going into this, to the 2011, I was expecting it to be scary. Yeah. I don't know, just like seeing the poster and being like, this one would have, like, in the 80s, it scared me a lot. And I was expecting to have a few, like, jump scares where it wasn't really jump scary. It was kind of expected. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I kind of was in the middle. Okay, the big moment.
I wrote some notes down for this as well.
Okay, can I ask the question? Okay, it's a big question. Ooh, what do you think the 1982 thing got on? I wonder if I should ask you the 1982 one first on Rotten Tomatoes.
4.
It's 82.
Oh. Whoops, I'll be saying 84. Oh, well,
fine.
80s.
Done. All right, I'll stick with the 1982. What do you think the 1982 got on Rotten Tomatoes?
So I like to, while I'm watching the movies, especially now because the scores are so close, I'm thinking about it while I'm watching the movie as well, thinking, what would people think of this? So I put down that I think my Rotten Tomatoes score for the 80, 82, 84, whatever, was a classic. And I think now it still holds up. It's still, a fun movie. So I'm going to guess 84%.
You're kidding.
What?
Did you check?
No, I swear to God, hard on chest. I was like, shut up.
You got it.
Shut up.
I'm feeling sus.
Shut up. Like, no way.
First go and everything. You got it.
Shut up. I swear to God. I just put down rotten score. I'm thinking it's a classic 84%.
Yeah, you got it. So we're tie.
Oh, my God. High five.
Ha.
Yes. Yeah, I slapped my knee because we're virtual. No way. Like,
yeah.
No 84. Way.
Yeah.
No way. Like, what? That's awesome.
What do you think the audience?
You don't trust me though. I feel like you don't trust me.
It just came out so quick, and I'm like, what?
I know. That's
usually we have to guess.
Hand on heart. I know. Hand on heart. I swear to God, I wrote down at 11:42 last night, 84%.
I believe you. I believe you.
I know, but I don't know if, like, what? I don't know if I believe myself. I'm like, how did I guess so well? All right. Then I put down audience, I think, would also agree that this one also got quite high. Now I'm scared to, like, talk. I put down the audience is like 93%.
You're so close.
Oh, shut up. Higher or lower?
Lower.
Ooh. You said so close. So, do I go 91 or do I go 92? I'm trying to like look at your face going, what, 91? 92. I'm going to go 92.
This is rigged.
I swear to God, it's not rigged.
Throughout the entire year, whenever I get a point, you always manage to get a point straight after me. You got that. You're like 1.5 already.
No.
Yeah, that's like a record.
I'm legit like shocked right now. What? Because I was about to say prior to this, Angie's gonna win. She's already like a point ahead.
You were planning tiebreakers, and I'm like, why you're so confident that you're gonna get a whole point? Well, there you go. You got 1.5. You're gonna win.
I'm legit like speechless.
No, it's pretty good.
I've never got 2.
Well, it's 1.5 because you got the audience.
I know, but I've never got both of them.
I know, that's pretty good.
What? Okay.
Right, let's go to the other one.
Okay, I wrote these ones down as well. Okay, 2011. I don't think people like this movie as much as I did. I'm going 54%.
Lower.
Oh. I was just like...
That was so low.
I'm already that confident. By much?
Yeah.
Okay. You were quite confident in by much. Lower. So maybe... Now I'm scared in case I get it.
If you get it, then Babes in Toyland it is.
I'm gonna go, if it's much lower, do I go like 30s? 40s? Again, I'm trying to look at you going, 33 just popped into my head.
You were so close.
Oh, 34. Shut up. I thought I was going to get that then.
It was 34. That was it was so close.
I was just like, if I get that again, you're not going to believe me.
I would have believed you. I would have just been like salty about it.
And then for the audience, I wrote the audience might not have liked the effects as much as I did. So I'm going to say 75%.
It wasn't 75%, but...
The audience might... Okay, I don't think people don't like this movie as much as I did, so I'm going 54. And then I thought maybe that was going to get higher than 54%. After you said that, I'm like, maybe. And as we were talking, I'm like, yeah, that. But then I'm going to say that the audience thought it was better than what the critics said. So that's why I thought maybe 75, but you said lower, yeah?
That was like a massive jump though, 75. But anyway, yes, it is lower.
This is how my brain works when I'm
You're
like,
on a roll.
Yeah. Okay, so you said much lower. Or
yes.
lower.
Yes.
I'm gonna go, my head is just saying 42%.
You got it. You got 2 points this episode.
Shh. No, shut up.
Yeah.
I feel like you think that it's rigged.
I do, because like last time, none of us have gotten more than 1 point.
I know. And that was like, okay, I swear to God.
It's all right. I'm just being salty. You got 2
No,
points
but I'm just like, that's never happened. Especially getting the first one first go.
I know.
Like,
and then you got this, like, you got this, the both scores for the first one.
What? Like, what? I'm speechless right now.
Well, there's no way I'm catching up to you because last episode was a freak for me to even get because I was on a losing streak for like however many months.
I know, and you got 2 last time as well.
I only got 1 point. You got 3. You answered 3 out of 4. That's a bit sus. I believe you. I can see.
I know. But I'm just
like
whether or not the listeners believe me as well. I swear.
They will believe you.
I have no words.
I'm still satisfied with Babes in Toyland.
Okay, good.
So
okay, good.
I'm okay if you win. And I was also struggling if I was gonna win. I've been messaging you like how long. I'm like, what should I do? Should I do this, and this? So it kind of takes the pressure away for me not having to pick.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm genuinely excited for you to watch Babes in Toyland, the 80s version, because that used to be my Christmas movie. Anyway, holy poo-poo. I can't believe that I got 3.
Good. That was impressive.
What?
I know, you're still in shock. Shall we move on to
Nerdison's Nerdy Notables?
So I have been busy trying to finish off. I'm coming to the end of my term, so just smashing out my assignments. I got an exam in a couple of weeks, so just want it over with for the year, which will be nice. But I was really fatigued yesterday, and I just couldn't concentrate. And I've had this urge to rewatch this series for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I started rewatching the original Sabrina, the 90s. I got up to like episode 10. It's on the site that you and I use sometimes. So yeah, I just started rewatching it. And, like, it was great because it was 20-minute episodes, so I could just lay back.
I love that. I love that journey for you. Oh, yeah. Sabrina was so good.
It was so good. And I just remember watching it and I'm like, yeah, I want to rewatch this. I don't know. I've been wanting to do it for a few months now. Something sparked my interest a while ago. And then, yeah, I just never did it. And yeah, started that journey again.
I went and saw Amsterdam the other day.
Yeah, I really want to see that. What did you think?
I enjoyed that movie a lot. It was such an amazing cast, and it was a roller coaster of a ride. However, as we were talking previous about accents, Margot Robbie's accent dropped quite a lot. But it was such a fascinating story, and to know that it's based on true events. In the 1930s, 3 friends witness a murder and are framed for it and uncover one of the most outrageous plots in American history. I highly recommend that movie.
Yeah, that is on my to watch list. So same as that new Saoirse Ronan film that came out. I probably won't get to see that at the cinema either, but I think it's Catch Me If You Can or something. Not Catch Me If You Can. Something. It's that cop one where she.
Yes.
Yeah, I really want to see that. I'll just have to wait until I can stream that one, I think.
Well, on the weekend, I'm house sitting. I'm looking after my friend's cat with the massive TV. And I'm like, she's like, make yourself at home, blah, blah. I go, don't worry. I've already got movies lined up of what I want to watch on the big TV. She goes, which one? And I go, I'm going to watch 1,000 Years of Longing.
Oh, yeah.
I also want to watch, what's that movie, the Marvel one, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I want to watch that as well. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that one as well. I am also planning a massive trip next year. I'm going to do backpack around Europe and do Europe, and Rammstein are playing. So I'm going to book my tickets next week for that, because how epic would it be to see Rammstein in Germany?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Or Europe in general. I've just got to figure out where's cheapest, because I'm not paying £350
yeah,
for a ticket.
Expensive.
Yeah, but it would be worth it. Also, what else have I been watching? Handmaids has come to an end. That was a bit of a, but yeah, not much.
Yeah.
Just acting.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's the same with me. Not much for me, but hopefully I'll be free as of the next episode. Which would you like to tell our listeners what that is?
So I thought I would just do something that I didn't realize was a remake, and I'm gonna do Arthur, 1981 versus 2011 one.
Oh my god!
I know, that's what I was like. So that's
funny.
My choice for next fortnight. So if you want to follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Nerdisons, and if you'd like to give us a suggestion, just like MJ Macca Jr. at nerdisons@outlook.com, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your good podcasts. Until then,
stay nerdy.